I was a Star Wars fan since I watched Star Wars in 1977. I was very lucky to win a visit to George Lucas. I guess to him. I was in the bus for hours. I passed time by playing Angry Birds. The bus then finally came to a stop. I stepped out from the bus and I was in front of the Skywalker Ranch. I knocked on the door. I had to wait for 1 hour, so I decided to do the same thing I did on the bus. Unfortunately, my phone was dead. I became bored. Finally, I heard the door open. It was George Lucas. How exciting. I remember him from the first time I watched the first film. However, things started to become odd. George's face had an extremely scared look, with tears slowly coming out of his eyes. I asked him what happened. He was speechless, but he managed to say, Jar dreams. Wait a minute. I had to use a flashback. In it, it was 1999, the year I watched episode 1. The movie was terrible, all because of that CG shit, such as the Gungans, Jar Jar. Wait a second. If George Lucas mentioned Jar, and it was Jar Jar Binks, who was haunting George Lucas's dreams. However, we heard a Gungan voice. We quickly went inside it. Went inside the voice? We heard static coming from the TV. It was in the living room, so we went inside. The TV showed nothing but static. We heard the Gungan noise, this time being, Why do you hate Samisa? The static began to lower, showing an angry Jar Jar Binks with red eyes. It also showed Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher hung up. He had a really angry look on his face. He said in a demonic voice, You will all die, sir. I heard a man scream. I quickly looked back. George Lucas died! He was lying on the floor motionless, with blood coming out of his eye holes, and his eyes were gone. Blood was also dripping out of his arm. I ran for my life. I rode the bus to home. Ever since I saw George Lucas die, the news never reported on it evidently, I never spoke a word about Star Wars. I never watched a single film of it. I never read one book about Star Wars. I buried all of my Star Wars stuff. I always had a horrified look on my face, just like George's. One night, I had a nightmare. I was in Tatooine. The buildings were all in ruins. Luke Skywalker and Han Solo were dead at the same time. The Jedis were lying on the floor motionless, even the Masters. They all had missing eyes and blood coming out of their eye sockets. Many Republic and Rebellion ships have already crashed. The worst thing was this demonic Gungan laugh. The voice then said, Hello, sir. Wanna give me some good rating, sir? I said, Never! You CG shit are ruining episode 1. Yeah, because the writing was so good otherwise. The voice said, That's it. The dead Jedi younglings, Padawans, Knights, and Masters come back alive as zombies. I guess this was supposed to be the end of the quote, but it just kept going. They had blood all over their faces and their tattered clothes. They were even armed with lightsabers. I ran for my life only to encounter zombie Jedi Masters. They can use their force still good, so they flung me up and down with it. The giant ghost of Jar Jar Binks then appeared. It said, Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. I immediately woke up. Covered in blood, I still had that horrified face, only worse. I went to Skywalker Ranch only to see it in ruins and covered in flames. Then I heard that demonic laugh. I looked back to see, oh my god, Jar Jar Binks, who had already gone commando before I woke up. He looks very lifelike. He said in a demonic voice, Hello, sir. Want to stop some humiliating us Gungans? It took me a while to reply. I then finally snapped and said, Never! You CG shit are ruining the prequel trilogy. He then said, You still asked for it. He disappeared so fast I don't know anymore. I ran for my life, but I tripped over. Don't say why, I just tripped over and lost consciousness. I was in that dream again, because that's what happens when you trip. You go into a dream state. Except now I was in a heavily deteriorated Death Star. Just like in the first dream, stormtroopers, rebels, and Darths were dead. The most horrifying part is that Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia were dead. Oh no. The interior had heavily corroded too. The same demonic laugh is present. I heard, "Look at what you've done." Then Jar Jar appeared. He said, "Wants to play a game, sir?" I quickly said, "Never, asshole." He then said, "Okay, here's your reward." And there comes half zombie, half skeleton rebels, Darths, and stormtroopers. Yes, the main characters of the movies, too. Rising from the dead. I ran into the Millennium Eagle only to find Han Solo as a zombie. Before I got killed, I then went in the other direction before being stopped by the zombies. I then realized it was just a dream and decided to pinch my ass. Wow. I then woke up in my house, except it was destroyed and up in flames. I then realized that Jar Jar was still out there. Once again, I heard that goddamn laugh of that motherfucker. I looked back and I saw fucking Jar Jar Binks. Now, hyper realistic.